Hello, I'm Mike Feltenberger, and we're going to do the June 11th race recap from Shellhammer Dirt Track, the little track by the river, getting their fifth Wingless Wednesday event in of the 2025 season with perfect weather conditions for some fantastic racing on the high-banked 8th mile. 81 degrees was the temperature when the first qualifying green was thrown at 7 o'clock, with low humidity but plenty of hot action on the speedway. First up was the All-Star Slingshots and their 20-lap main event. Lindsay Garl getting her first win of the season in the 17L. Lindsay started on the pole, but was not going to be denied her first win of the 2025 season. The 2024 point champion had some early race challenges from Tess Horvath in the 42T, and eventually Dylan Hoke came on strong late in the event. In his 35, he was last week's winner, but didn't have enough to get by. Lindsay Garl under the checker first in the 20-lap All-Star Slingshot A-Main, her first win of the season. Dylan Hoke getting the second spot in the 35. Tess Horvath actually fell back to fifth in the mid-portions of the race, but came back strong in the later laps to get third place at the finish. Haley Ero in the 57 was a 12th starter, entered the top 5 on lap 14 and was actually challenging Tess at the finish, but didn't have enough to get by. Haley Ero putting the 57 into the 4th place payout at the checker. Getting 5th, Dan Lane Jr. in the 12 senior. Dan started 14th. He had a strong run in the last 2 laps, going from 8th to 5th. In the last 2 laps, putting the Scott Thunberg 12 senior up into the 5th spot after the 20 laps distance was over. That was how the All-Star Slingshots ran last night. 22 Slingshots signed into the pit area. Some fantastic racing once the early race jitters were out of everybody's way. A good run of the finish by Lindsay Garl with Dylan Hoke right behind in the 35. Next up was the junior sprints. Jay Smith, a demanding run, a fantastic run in the 27, getting the win. He was on rails the whole race, never really challenged for the win, getting the junior sprint win over Andrew Ferriola. Andrew had some mid-race battles with the Enzo Udicello. Enzo entered the top 5 after starting 6th and was a strong runner the rest of the way, getting 3rd. And finishing 4th, Logan Shabilia. Logan's always been there in the 45, top 5 runner all season so far in the junior sprints. Good run for Logan Shabilia. With Braylon Morris in the 75, getting 5th place after the 20-lap distance was over. So it was Jay Smith in the 27, Andrew Ferriola, Enzo Udicello, Logan Shabilia, and Braylon Morris, your top 5 in the junior sprints. 20 laps for the 270 micros. And getting the win was Chris Dolan. Chris had the fastest lap of the race, and he had some early race challenges from Jacob Neff and Jared Imler. And then later in the event, it was a good strong challenge by Matt McAnally. Matt started 10th in the field, and he actually was in the top 5 after just 4 laps. So McAnally making some early race moves, going from a 10th starting spot into the top 5 and eventually getting the runner-up spot at the end of the 20-lap distance. 3rd, Chase Ziegenfuss. Chase has been strong at the high-banked 8th mile this year. Another good finish for Chase, getting 3rd in the 52Z. Dustin Roberts started 12th in the 24. And he became a contender, top 5 contender on lap 14. Good battle to the finish between him and Jacob Neff and also Chase Ziegenfuss. Chase rebounded. He fell back to 4th on lap 15, but came back strongly. Get by Roberts for the 3rd spot at the checker, with Dustin Roberts getting 4th, and Jacob Neff, an early race challenger, getting 5th. So your top 5 was Chris Dolan, Matt McAnally, Chase Ziegenfuss, Dustin Roberts, and Jacob Neff. Nice strong field of 270 micros at Shellhammers on June the 11th. 4th class to enter the speedway for their 20-lap A-Main was the Stage 1 Modifieds. Jake Moyer in the 1M was your heat winner and also started on the front row. And he had a couple of early race challenges, but from Dakota George and later from Johnny Fugelo, but Jake wasn't going to be denied that win. Jake Moyer in the 1M getting the 20-lap Stage 1 modified win. Johnny Fugelo held strong, had a late race challenge from Dylan Hoke, who had the family battle with Tyler Hoke there for a while. It was a two-car family battle between Dylan Hoke and Tyler Hoke on who was going to finish third. Eventually, Dylan won out and was a challenger for second at the checker, but didn't have enough. So he finished third, Tyler Hoke getting fourth, and Rich Keller coming from the 10th starting spot in the 1K, getting fifth. So the top five in the Stage 1 modifieds: Jake Moyer first, Johnny Fugelo second, Dylan Hoke third, Tyler Hoke fourth, and Rich Keller fifth. 600 micros. Matt McAnally was running 9.020506 laps in his qualifying event to get the win in that, and he held that speed into the A main for 20 laps, taking the win in the 37. A mid-race challenge from Trevor Kovalars. Trevor could get to McAnally, but didn't have enough to get by, and eventually Matt really had some late race speed to keep his distance for the win, with Trevor Kovalars in the 5, getting that runner-up position again this week. Jay Smith, who won the junior sprints, looked strong in the 600 micros, finishing third. Jay's a new competitor here at Shellhammer Dirt Track, looking very strong in the early season, getting a win in the junior sprints and putting the 27 under the checker for third in the 600 micros. Geezer Finelli, the G-Man, getting fourth. Geezer was a top 5 runner the whole event. And getting fifth was Damian Bauer. In fact, those the 4 drivers were Smith, Finelli, Kovalars, and Nolan Lacer. They were like running under a blanket for quite a few laps in the mid portions of the 20-lap race. But things finally got sorted out near the end, and Damian Bauer actually became the 5th place runner after Nolan Lacer had a pull into the infield on lap 16 while running in 5th. So the top 5 was Matt McAnally getting the win, Trevor Kovalars second, Jay Smith third, Geezer Finelli fourth, and Damian Bauer in the 7.5 getting 5th. Your 6th class on the Speedway was the junior slingshots, and I can just simply put it this way: it was an alphabet finish. Taking the early race lead was Frank Fritzinger, and Frank looked strong in the 51, had no real challenges once he assumed the command of the race, but all of a sudden on lap 6, 51 pulling to the infield, a chain breakage on the 51 probably denied Frank from getting his first win of the season in the junior slingshots. Grabbing the win, Barry Seaman. Barry was there at the right time, assuming command after Frank pulled into the infield. 55B, Barry Seaman getting his 2nd win of the season in the junior slingshots. Aubrey Romig putting on a strong showing. Aubrey was put to the rear for a minor incident, rebounded back, went to the rear and came back got 2nd after just 1 lap. So a strong run by Aubrey Romig, last week's winner in the 35A for 2nd. Haley Bernatowski, your pole sitter, staying pretty sharp, getting a top 3 finish with a 3rd in the 86H at the checker. Cheyenne Snodderly, 5S, getting 4th. Good run for Cheyenne from her 8th starting spot. And Gavin Wolf was also in a late race incident, but rebounding from that, getting 5th place in the junior slingshot event. Again, here we alphabet finish, getting the win in the 55B, Barry Seaman. 2nd in the 35A, Aubrey Romig. Haley Bernatowski in the 86H was 3rd. Cheyenne Snodderly in the 5S was 4th, and Gavin Wolf in the 23G was your 5th place finisher in the junior slingshots. Your final event of the night, the 125 micros, went nonstop, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and there was no denying Steve Simmons a win in the Sam Borger 04. Steve was he was dominant for the whole race. Easton Miller came on strong at the end there, but didn't have enough. There was no denying Steve Simmons another win this season. Easton Miller looking sharp in the 17E, getting second. Seth Gregory, last week's winner, slowly moving through the pack, getting third at the checker, with Dylan Yinkst and Mitch Gibson having a late race battle for the fourth spot, with Dylan Yinkst getting fourth over Mitch Gibson. So your top five in the 125 micros was Steve Simmons, Easton Miller, Seth Gregory, Dylan Yinkst, and Mitch Gibson. Final checker was thrown at 10:12. Payouts were completed at 10:30. Everybody was on their way home at 10:30. And we'll be back again next week, June the 18th, for another evening of high-speed action on the high banks at the little track by the river, Shellhammer Dirt Track. Hope to see everybody there. Please have a safe and happy week. See you next week. Take care. Bye.